Hey man, what's up?
Oh hey, what's up?
Nothing, not much. Where are you?
I'm in the Oasis right now, actually.
Like Ready Player One.
Yeah, actually. What are your thoughts on that movie?
Oh. So I just saw Ready Player One, and to put it quite simply, it wasn't that great. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't at all great. It was just kind of barely good. I'll get into it. Before I get into the movie, I just want to say that I had one of the worst movie experiences ever when I saw this thing. I was just hanging out and it was fine, and then right as the movie was starting, these two dudes walked in. One of them had a PBR, a Pabst Blue Ribbon. Why you would bring PBR into a movie at like 1 in the afternoon on a Sunday, I don't know. So he comes in, and I don't know if he was drinking earlier that day or if he's just naturally an obnoxious piece of shit, but he would not shut up throughout this movie. To start, every single time the movie mentioned Duran Duran, he would go, "Woo!" There was a kiss scene at one point, and he goes, "Woo! Yeah!" And I'm like, dude, there's like a bunch of other people in this theater. There's like kids behind you. He kept yelling, not saying things. He was yelling things throughout the most of the movie, really. And his friend was sitting there with this big ass beanie on, looked like the kid from Elf, not doing anything. Just he might have been asleep, to be honest. And then a few seats away from them, there's this old woman. I don't want to say old. She was maybe in like her 60s or something. And like 20 minutes into the movie, she's very into it. She obviously wants to be there. She starts coughing very hard. And it was fine. I was just like, oh, okay, we all cough sometimes, you know what I mean? But she keeps going for like 5 minutes straight, just coughing and coughing. And at one point she's like bending over, like very aggressively coughing. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, is she about to die right now? So on the right side, you have these dudes who won't shut up, who's yelling at every kiss scene, the guy that might be asleep. And then you got this old woman who might be dying. And then I get out of the theater and it's snowing in April. I mean, I didn't have a good time seeing this, to be honest. So anyways, Ready Player One is about a guy who is, who am I kidding? You already know what it's about. I don't want to say this is a horrible movie because it has a lot of good things about it. For one, it was definitely well paced. Spielberg obviously has a knack for pacing and doing a pretty great job with big adventure movies with giant plots. I mean, that's obviously kind of his thing. And I think this movie is no exception. He did a pretty great job with that. It felt pretty big and entertaining. Nothing overstayed its welcome. Nothing felt like it was too short. That being said, I think the ending and the climax also worked really well. The big fight and everything that happened there, it felt well deserved and super exciting. I was definitely engaged in it. On top of that, I felt like the score, at least near the second half of the film, worked really well. Felt just kind of like the old movies. It felt like we were watching a classic being made in front of us. Everything about it just felt like a big and entertaining movie, which is what it was supposed to be. So good job on that. Now, for what I didn't like, to start, the writing and the dialogue is, oh my god. A lot of it just felt so flat and not believable in any way. There was nothing special about anything the characters were saying, really. And maybe until the end. I think specialty is something that this movie tried extremely hard to be, but didn't succeed with in the end. It lacked a lot of personality and voice. It was a very generic film that was reliant on all of the references within it. I don't think it's bad to have all these references. In fact, I thought it was pretty fun. It felt good to see some of my favorite things in pop culture on the big screen. My problem is that instead of paying tribute to them or utilizing them in a really unique way, they kind of just have them there to win the audience over. Myself being a victim. When The Shining popped up, I got excited about it. And I'm sure that everyone who went to see this movie could at least get excited about something on the movie. And I felt like that was all of their purpose. While it did have me excited to see The Shining up there, it just didn't feel right to me. It was cool to see them in the set and for it to get all grainy and look like it was The Shining. I thought that was fun. I was like, oh, this is cool. They're really incorporating the movie. But the whole bit with the grandma and the knife, it just felt way more excessive than it needed to be. The horror behind The Shining is the mystery of it all, is the absence of the actual monster or thing that's lurking in this hotel. It left a bad taste in my mouth, like, oh, this is an amazing horror movie that's kind of been boiled down into a scary movie with a zombie grandma. And on top of that, they have like the Iron Giant thing, and I know this has been said a million times, but they basically made him into a weapon, and that's not at all what he is. I know there was more than that, but at the end of the day, a weapon is basically what the Iron Giant was in this movie. On top of that, the performances in this thing are, oh wow. Like, okay, I love Lena Waithe. I think her writing is great. I think she was fantastic in Master of None. But her performance in this movie is god awful. I mean, it is bad. It is I've seen high schoolers give off more believable performances than she did in this movie. It just bums me out because I was really excited about this thing. I don't want to say really excited, it took me 3 weeks to see it, but I was pretty excited for this movie. I was excited to have a new adventure movie that we could all get excited about and remember for a long time and that I can show my kids someday. But at the end of the day, the thing lacked a lot of personality and voice. What makes movies like this so exciting is how much of an escape these worlds become. But when this world isn't necessarily believable in any way, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to get into it or attach to it, aside from its fun little references. That's basically all my thoughts on the movie. I'm going to give Ready Player One a 2.5 out of 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one.